right, good morning and welcome to DragonWorks. '79 Honda GL1000 Goldwing, and I just got finished replacing the valve seals in this beautiful machine. And the reason being, if some of you might remember, when I revived this thing a couple months ago, and I'll get to that story in a second. As soon as I rebuilt the carbs, put the thing back together, started up, and it smoked like a freight train. And it did not quit. It did that for a week. I tried to let the thing run, thought it would clear out. And many people commented the same thing. Let it run. They all do that when they've been sitting. Well, this one just would not stop. So I got to thinking about when I pulled the carbs off. I remember taking a picture and I said, look at all the raw fuel laying down in that valve there. Because the floats and everything were sticking. It was just pouring gas out everywhere. Well, after it sat here and smoked for about a week, I realized that was probably not raw fuel at all. That was raw oil. That's how much was pouring into those cylinders. So anyway, I got done, fired this thing up, and took care of the smoke. At first, it smoked for a little bit because there was so much oil in the exhaust pipe that it had to burn all that out. And you can see like down in the pipe was soaking wet with oil. And then you can see after it ran a good while, they dried up really good. So the bike doesn't smoke anymore. I'm still running it just to make sure. And then we got a whole bunch of work to do to this thing yet. Not to mention, I got to finish buttoning it up. You can see I don't have any of the covers on. I got some gaskets I got to replace yet on the cam covers there, and some other things, but we just wanted to make sure this solved it because there's been a good amount of money and labor put into this bike so far. And if it wasn't going to clear up and it was going to be major work, maybe the customer was going to decide, not to go any further into the project. But that brings me to a good point, and I'll try to sum it up real quick. This originally came in from a different customer, and that's when I found all the issues that he wasn't aware of. And then he said, well, let's see if it'll run properly. So we did the carburetors, and the bike started up and ran awesome, but then it smoked. And then while I was testing it to see if that smoke would burn out, it started dropping 2 cylinders every once in a while, and it was running really rough. So then I got to him, about the additional cost of that, and we still didn't know what was going on with the motor. And so he took a little break to think about it. Well, a few weeks later, his cousin contacted me and said, hey, I'm going to take the project over. Let's get back to it. Let's see what we can find out. Let's dig a little deeper and see if we can figure out this oil problem. So that brings us to where we are now. Like I said, the bike needs a whole lot of stuff. But now we know that the bike is running right and the smoke's going to clear up, and it's worth investing the time and money into it. So basically, yesterday, late afternoon, I didn't get a chance to finish up the video and everything, but I just had got it done, and I temporarily put things back together, as you can see. And the reason I do that is because if we find a major problem here at DragonWorks, we want to figure that out right away before we put any more money in it. So I already know that it would be a good idea to replace the belts and a whole bunch more gaskets and some stuff like that. But before we spent the customer's money doing that, we want to assure that we have a major engine problem solved before we dump a lot of money. So yeah, that sometimes puts me in a bad spot because maybe I don't make as much as some of these other shops, but my customer hasn't spent a whole bunch of unnecessary money. And that's how we do it. We ride and we care about the customers and what have you. So that's the way we approach things. So I got some stuff to do, but so what we're going to do here is you're going to see some more of the video. I know I put a little clip in the beginning. All right. Anyway, what I was saying was I will finish the video from yesterday. So once I got done buttoning this thing up here a little bit, I was just starting it and running it, and I let the rest of the oil burn out of them pipes like I was telling you. And once that all cleared up, I let it run for a while, make sure it didn't smoke, and then I'd start it and stop it and what have you, and double checking it. And also, like I just mentioned, things are just temporary on here. Just in case the customer, you know, if this didn't solve it, then it would have been like a crack in the head or something crazy. And the customer may have said, hey, you know, let's stop right there. Don't want to put in more money in it. So like I just mentioned, I try not to do any more than I have to until we're certain. But I never, since it smoked real bad when I revived it, I never got a chance to adjust and sync the carbs. I never really got, you know, I didn't set the timing. That's just whatever it came here with. So we got some stuff like that to do. But first, we're just trying to reassure everything's good. So you'll see the video from yesterday, and you're also, then I'm going to do a cold start. Okay, so here we go. All right, let's see what we got after replacing the valve seals. So far, so good. Okay, guys, like I said, I'm going to do a cold start here. And I think what I'm going to try to do, since it should, I'm going to try to do it. Again, this pipe hasn't been run or anything yet. See, I'm holding the pipe, a little rusty. I'm just going to try to start it without choke. It's not going to be happy. I'll have to warm it up. Stand by a minute. Let me open up the doors. It's raining and I tried to keep the door shut so you can hear me, but let me make sure I got some ventilation. Okay. Anyway, what I was saying is I'm going to try to start with no choke. I might have to keep it running because it ain't going to be happy, but I just want to see what it'll do. And you guys watch the exhaust to see if it's going to puff anything. All right, here we go. Better than I expected. Nice. Nice. No smoke. Didn't see any smoke. All good. I was worried I didn't even have the camera angle right. So, as you can see, so far so good. This is going to be an awesome running bike, and I want to talk a little more about that too. I'll just let it run a second. The bike's in excellent condition. The man really took good care of it. It looks like, you know, maybe somebody was taking excellent care, then it got into somebody else's hands, and they kind of did this bar situation, trying to make it cool, and then the thing got neglected. I don't know really what happened. Probably the clutch went out from that crazy cable up there, and then they stopped riding it, and it sat, because it's not easy to put a clutch in one of these. I'm getting ready to have to do it. So I think after that, it just sat for years and years. And we found a lot of evidence that it sat. You know, the bad carbs, the dirt in there and everything. And there was surface rust on the cams. that I had to clean up inside the motor. Even on the valve springs I saw a little bit. So all the oil had totally drained off of them, and the condensation and air moisture got in there and did its thing. That's what it does. Nature will always take back, you know, if you let it sit long enough. But anyway, we're looking good here, guys. I'm really impressed with this. I'm sorry I'm talking over it. I'm just letting you watch the thing run and make sure that she's not going to smoke any. You might see some condensation because it is raining and I got the doors open, but we got no smoke. Alrighty. $27,123. All right. So yeah, once again, like I said, there you have it. Looks like we got that problem solved or under control, whatever you want to say. And now we can proceed to doing all the other work it needs, get the bars straightened out with those cables and all that. It needs clutch, tires. You know, I know I'm repeating myself, but it still needs quite a bit of work, but this is a big hurdle. Now the customer knows there's no catastrophic problems with the engine, and it's low miles, so he has years and years worth of enjoyment left. It's worth putting the money in this thing because these are going to be like the next hot thing. You can almost guarantee it in a few years, this thing will be worth a lot more than it is right now. So anyway, stay tuned because like I just said, we got a lot of work to do. This isn't the end. This is only the beginning. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Sorry, you know, gets a little rambling on sometimes, but some of these projects, this thing's, you know, been going for months here and what have you. Some of them drag out, and I got to catch first-time viewers back up on what's going on, and I know some of you have already heard it. So thanks for watching. Thanks for staying tuned. Dragon says, peace out.